I'm joined with me by candidate master Alex Bullen. Hello, Alex.
Hello, Jonathan.
Very formal, as always, and also FIDE master Johan Rees. Hello, Johan.
Good evening, John. How's it
Good
going?
evening. There seems to always be some smirks as well when I just basically saying hello, which they seem to laugh because it's a bit more formal. Whenever we greet each other normally, there's probably some sort of insults just traded between us, isn't there? That's probably what happens, and some sort of nod. Nothing as saying hello to each other. That was a bit crazy. Okay, well, hello everybody that's obviously watching. If you're watching on record, even better as well. And welcome to another edition of Welsh Chess Chat. We've got a little tactic just to show you, just to start off. We'll come back to that in a second. So just to take us through the schedule, just to let you know what we'll be covering today, because there's quite a lot of information that we could discuss. We could easily talk here for a few hours, and we find that most weeks actually. But this week especially, we'll still have a look at the Welsh Chess Union calendar and the rating system, just to see if there are any major changes there. We've got we've had an email about European team selection, which we would like to discuss as well, just to see what our thoughts are on it. That's where the top any European country can send a team to go and play against each other. Point number 4 is probably the most important one of the session, where we got some government funding from Rishi Sunak, and actually a big press release there about the English Chess Federation getting quite a lot of funds, which is still a positive thing. Then we got a bit of a Title Tuesday update and 4NCL. And we also want to just to have a quick discussion about tournaments as well, like open or closed, open sections, or rating bands. Do you have to be above a certain rating? That's quite an interesting kind of discussion point. I also think prize money as well, like for a minor section compared to an open, it's quite interesting. And then Johan's hopefully going to take us through what's going on in the World Cup. If you haven't been watching it, there might be something interesting there. And then we'll leave the Gorney Gilbert results to last, and also the Stokes and Robinson as well. We had some individual good performances, I think, but the overall is not too good. So before we jump into this tactic, which I will leave on the board for people that are watching, if you can solve it and you want to type it in the chat, then by all means it's white to play. It happened to me in a Blitz game literally earlier today, and I just thought it was really pretty. But before we do that, I'll come to you, Alex. Just how has your chess week been?
It's been fine. I've been trying to do some puzzles, some tactics, and actually like some proper work as opposed to just playing Blitz online.
What's proper work? Can I ask?
Oh, so maybe like watching some videos on chess.com about pawn structures. I don't know what else.
No, I mean, I'm not saying that's not work. It's just interesting to know what people count as work and not. That's all.
What do you count as work?
Well, I don't know. It's I just thought it sounded like from what he said that he does work, but it's not really proper work sometimes. But this was proper work, Oh, was that?
Alex frozen?
Was Alex frozen? Yeah,
he's back. He's taken some abuse about his work, and he's had to freeze.
No, it's not abuse. It was just I just wanted to know. I was trying to wonder if I actually do any proper work or not.
Right, continue, Alex.
Well, so what's funny is these pawn structure videos I think are really good, and they're like loads and loads. But I've only got about 2/3 of the way through the series. I've obviously got a tournament starting on Sunday, so in all the games, I need to make sure all the games have openings that are just in the pawn structures I watched the videos on. And if I haven't watched the video, I need to make sure if I get that pawn structure, I change it to one that I know really quickly. So I'm just going to try and win the tournament based on pawn structure knowledge.
Which ones have you? Can you tell us which pawn structures you've come across so far?
So the one I watched today, the names are quite weird. So it's called like the Petrov structure, but it's not just from the Petrov. You can also get it in like Exchange Frenches and I can't remember what else. But like there's tons, and like there's a video where they like basically White's put on the open E file, White's got a pawn on D4, then Black has it on D5 or D6, like those kind of things.
Oh, symmetrical.
Yeah, pretty symmetrical. Yeah.
So you get it from a Berlin as well, then.
Yeah, that's the one in the example. Yeah. So I thought it's so not relevant for me.
Oh, I love symmetrical pawn structures. Yeah, because everybody switches off. They just go, "Oh, it's drawn," and then there you go, you lose.
It's so true. It's so true.
In Blitz, at least. In Blitz, it's fantastic because people just say, "Oh, it's drawn now." Right? Great.
Yeah, I agree. But the only issue is there's some of the pawn structure videos on like some pretty important structures I'm not going to watching because the videos are really long and I can't be bothered. So yeah, I just need to stay away from like huge chunky repertoires. So it'll be fine. I mean, I know the important pawn structure, which is the London system pawn structure. So what more?
Just to check here, the videos that you're watching now, are they because you've got a title, so therefore you get an automatic paid account on chess.com?
Oh, good point. I would assume so. I mean, I've always had access to a titled account on chess.com, so I've never known what it's like not to have it. But yeah, I guess you need to do that.
Just the way you said that then, it sounded like, I'm not sure if this is true or not. It's like, I've always had access to a titled account. There's a few using somebody else's.
Oh, yeah, I was, absolutely.
Oh, right, okay.
To watch the videos on,
yeah.
So I guess you do need a titled account to do so.
He did exactly the same as you, Jan, and went out with a girl from Europe. So he had an older brother, I think, who was pretty good.
Right, okay. I was
in the WFM, so I used hers.
Oh, right, okay.
But it was even better because when I used to play, so her brother also used the account, even though he was like 2400. He never bought his FM title, so he would play Blitz on the account and got the rating to like 2600. So if I ever wanted good games on chess.com, I'd go and play Blitz on her account, and the rating would go from like 2600 to 2400, and I'd.
I mean, Alex is having problems this week with freezing. He's back.
Yeah. I think it's me. I don't know why.
No, it's fine. I mean, basically, it's probably a good thing that you froze there because we do save these recordings. So I guess we could get you banned from chess.com, which is fantastic news.
Well, it wouldn't be Alex. It'd be his ex's brother or something.
All right. Well, great that you're doing proper work, Alex, and good to hear that you're doing proper study. And we weren't live before, but I was just describing before. I know I've just been playing pure Blitz games for this week, which is pretty lazy of me, but I guess also good. I mean, trying to go through them as well to see where I've gone wrong in the opening and look at them. But probably playing a little bit too much Blitz and need to set up a board and go through a book or something, which would be a bit better for me. What about yourself, Johan? How's your weekly training gone?
I've actually done a little bit this week.
Proper work.
Yeah, I've been looking at the pawn structure. No, I have very specifically been going through a lot of games in a Carlsbad structure. So because I've sort of recently taken up a couple of openings that comes up often. So I've just like had a deep dive, as Tanya would say, into some Carlsbad structures. So I've looked through a lot of games and sort of annotated myself and stuff. So yeah, it's a new way of training, but we'll see if it works.
I mean, that's quite different, really, isn't it? Compared to I'm here playing just Blitz games online at the moment for this week. I know I could do more. Alex is there watching a video on pawn structures. You're there, just searching for, searching for games in the opening that go into the Carlsbad.
Yeah, I prefer. I think my problem always like.
So now it's not you that's freezing, Alex. It's Johan that's freezing.
Yeah, it's whoever you ask a question to, I think.
Yeah, whoever's speaking. Well, I tell you what. Anybody in the chat actually solved this problem, by the way, with white to play? It's quite a pretty one. So just while we're waiting, and yes, Shawnee, I think I do remember a game between Anand and Medvedev actually that I think wasn't it black doing it on white? I think it was. But great, maybe I'll load that up at some point. So anybody in the chat got the solution to this problem? White to play, and I'm not going to tell you what the idea is, but I just thought it was quite beautiful, to be honest, and hopefully Johan will join us in a second. I mean, I don't know where he's gone. He's actually had to leave the chat, so I'm assuming that his computer's just completely messed up, which is interesting. Yeah, thanks, Madge and Jonanis as well. Thank you very much, guys. So the if you're watching on record, then you've probably just seen it in the chat. But yeah, Queen takes knight f6 check. And in the game, I did actually just allow it. I thought, you know what, that's just too beautiful not to allow. And after king takes queen, we do knight h5, checkmate, which is just quite beautiful, to be honest. The bishop covers these squares, pawn and rook cover there. The knight covers this square and obviously checks the king. And that's basically it. And I just thought that was just quite a nice, pretty little checkmate that I fell for earlier today. I was on the receiving end of this, which was quite funny. Okay, well, while we're waiting for Jan to rejoin us, we might as well just continue, hadn't we, Alex?
Yeah.
I'm sure nobody will miss him, really, so it'll be all right. So we'll just have a quick look at the Welsh Chess Union website just to make sure that we're up to date with this. Okay, we've got the Newport Congress coming up, Alex, so we're going to be competing in that, aren't we?
We are. I don't know if the word competing is accurate, but I'll be there.
Is that because I start half a point behind, is it? Or
yeah, I haven't peaked yet. I'll be still warming up. But yeah, it'll be I think the entry list is now pretty big, right? It's looking good.
Yeah, it was looking pretty good. I mean, I've just gone onto the full calendar here because obviously you've got Real coming up after that, and then the new edition, I think, is on the 30th of September. You've got the Blitz qualifier down in Bridgend, which I'm sure imagine lots of people will want to go to and have a great day playing lots of chess. So that's one that I do want to just recommend that people go to. Johan's rejoining us as well now. I'm sure he'll take his moment to tell us more about his training in a second. But yeah, no, the Newport Congress is pretty good. And yeah, the entry form's looking, so click on the entrance here. And okay, I'm top seed, but I've got to take a bye in round one, I'm afraid. So Alex is happy about that. Yeah, so what have we got here? We've got but this is also including some of the under 18s as well, I believe. So Alison, Oliver, Zach looks like they're under 18. So 38 entrants in the open section. And then they've got an intermediate under 1700s where they've got 44 entrants, which is pretty good numbers here. And then the seniors, they've got 12 entrants, which is still quite good, to be honest. I was a bit surprised they didn't merge the seniors in the open tournament, but
I kind of get that. I think a few of the players in the seniors maybe wouldn't bother if it was merged from the open. And you get the kind of lottery of if you make it the highest scoring person in a Swiss, then you could easily get the best player not winning it. So
you're going to get that then with the under 18 championship, aren't you, as well?
I imagine there's just not enough players to hold a separate under 18.
Yeah, probably.
Based on previous participation. But I mean, I think what's clear, if the three events combined, I mean, I can't remember a tournament supported as well as this in Wales for years and years.
Yeah, well, it's fantastic and good luck to them. And hopefully some more entrants come in the last few days and weeks as well. But yeah, apart from that, I can't see many other changes on here for the calendar. So, I mean, these dates have been on there. Just the Blitz coming up on the 30th, which looks pretty good. And then on the ratings, I think the only changes on the ratings are if they've added on the Glorny Gilbert changes on there. So not much has changed. I'm still losing 15 points, which everybody's happy about, which is fine. Tim's gaining. I think if we look at the difference here, Louise Davis is still gaining a lot of points at the moment. Well done, Louise. And Arush has done quite well too. Although I think he might be gaining some more because it's only got his British games on. So they haven't added the Glorny Gilbert Robertson Stokes on yet. And I think he did okay in that, actually. I think a couple of others did okay as well. But some good games for some of the adults as well, which is nice to see. But other than that, not much been played. The interesting thing is the number of games played. This is one thing I want to look at. I want to see. So how many games do you reckon you will have played by December?
Well, I guess close to 40.
Close to 40. Wow. And you haven't even started really yet, have you? Which is I would say quite low. I mean, sometimes in the 6-month periods, I get like 70, 80. But 70, 80 games. Wow, that's amazing. Welcome back, Johan.
Yeah, do you know what's up with the internet tonight? But
no,
sorry,
a bit crazy sometimes. No, it's all right. We've moved on, so you'll have to bear with us. I'm afraid.
The calendar.
Yeah, you've missed the calendar. I'm so sorry. And we've just finished the ratings as well. I don't think there's much changes. So but good to see Josh McKenna at the top. 33 games played. That's always
Wow.
nice to see. Okay, well, let's move on to some of these key topics because next up is European team selection. So just double checking, Johan, you got the email, right? For selection for the European teams, which has been held in. Alex, did you get the email?
I'm not holding. Jonathan, if you got the email, I searched for it.
Yeah, that was quite a good setup, that one, actually, wasn't it? I quite like that. Yeah, so European team selection, we got an email. I guess it went around to all the players rated over 2,000, maybe? Or
It's usually 2,000, yeah.
Usually that, about selection for the Welsh team to go to Budva in, is it?
Montenegro.
Montenegro, but what date is it in? I can't remember. Is it November?
Was it October-ish? Something like that?
Early November.
Okay. But yeah, just a quick one on that. Have you guys both replied?
Oh,
I did reply out of courtesy, yeah.
I was still hoping to win the lottery so I could go, so...
Yeah, and that's the big problem with it. So basically, I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, but was it like £1,000 to stay in the hotel? And then, of course, you're taking 2 weeks off work, and then there was like some other fees as well on top of that. So it was, all in all, you could be, depending how much you earn, 2, 3, maybe even more, £1,000 out of pocket to go and play for Wales, which is obviously a massive honour for most people. That's why some people do end up going to get there to play for Wales. But I've replied already saying, unfortunately, I can't afford to go. It doesn't make sense for it to be because it's in November. It's in term time when the schools are on. So I can't go to that, and I'm quite happy to tell people that. I don't know if you two are okay to tell people how you replied, or...
I haven't replied yet. I'm still, as I said, there's a few lottery options before then, before the deadline, isn't there? So still possible.
So it's still possible. Are you actually seriously thinking about it though, Johan? Because you might be able to...
No, I'd love to go, but yeah, I mean, it's just too much money, isn't it? I think I haven't really had time to properly think about it and look at dates and stuff, but I'd love to go. As I said before, I think especially because it's in Montenegro, I really like it there. I had a really happy tournament in Montenegro, and I'd love to go back. So
yeah, and have you played in it before, Johan?
Yeah, once before. Yeah, that was in Serbia, so like right next door. So,
so just for people watching, have we ever had any kind of funding to take teams to the Europeans?
I can't remember when I went, but I feel like I would have been a student, right? So before, at the time when I went, I think I was a student, so I must have used some of my student loan to go.
Wow.
Like, I suppose, and also whatever Alex was paying me.
You're welcome.
So that was my only source of income back in the day. So Alex and my student loan paid for me to go to Novi Sad, probably. I don't know.
And what's the benefit of going to like the Europeans, say, compared to, say, for example, the Olympiad or just any other random tournament?
It's a lot stronger. So yeah, I mean, especially if you're on one of the top boards, you're going to be playing some some people that are in the chess world famous, So it's like I think when I went last time, I got absolutely caned I played the French for the first time in my life and the only time. And I got absolutely caned by Daniel Stelwagen in round one. Like, when I say caned, I mean like I was mated on like move 18 or something. And
wow.
It was so bad.
Yeah.
It was really bad. I was like, I've learned the French. I'm never playing it again.
Yeah, you got to have this.
I played Beliavsky as well. So he's like, two people that, that you would have heard of, and amongst a few other GMs and stuff. So that was
so it's one of those things that it's really good to play against these top rated players, because you only get better really sometimes by playing against such strong players. If you have to play against players that are weaker than you, it kind of takes away from your own learning. So it's a great learning opportunity. I know that I think was it 2 years ago that Greg went? Was that right?
Yeah, 2 years ago.
So he played against Anish Giri, didn't he? I think
he did.
Was that an individual one? Was it?
No. They went as a team.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
So
we
played the Dutch in the first round, and the Dutch.
Oh, we played the Dutch in the first round. Maybe it's like it's
like a
similar rating thing.
Yeah, I think what was funny is the Dutch put out their strongest team as well. Everyone thought they were going to rest Giri, and they turned out with like Giri, Van Forest, and I can't remember who else they had, but they like their worst GM they rested because got to take Wales seriously.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Unlike we've had in the Olympiad, we've had Spain in the first round twice in a row, haven't we? As well, so maybe there's something in that perhaps. But yeah, okay. So yeah, I mean, I've replied no. Alex, I don't know if you mind. Have you? What your reply was? Something along similar lines, I should imagine.
It was no. Well, first of all, because I just don't have. I've booked all my leave for the year, so I just don't have annual leave to even think about anything else. Probably as well, I would say theoretically I would pay to go to a Europeans, but it's also like the value for money in that you're paying over £100 a night to stay somewhere in like one of the cheapest countries in Europe. So it's not even the money; it's the money for where you are. Like if you could book your own accommodation, you'd be sorted. But they make you stay in a hotel. Paying £100 a night, and you got to share a room with John, for example. Like, but come on, someone should be paying me for
that. No, but I think the unfairness of it, like in terms of that, kind of makes you kind of less likely to want to go as well, doesn't it? Like the fact that that there's a bunch of people taking a slice of your money.
yeah, for sure. But
Yeah.
I'd say the tournament's like on my to-do list at some point in my life. But...
Yeah, it's a really good tournament to go to. It's really it was really good to play and it was good fun. I still remember my last round game and it's very painful, but it was one of those games. Do like one of those games that's really, really long and you're winning the entire way until like the last move and then you actually manage to lose it? Yeah, I still remember it, but it was still a good tournament.
Well, we won't remind you too much about that, Johan. And I think the general consensus is for people that are watching is that to go and play for Wales, you have to basically pay many of the costs yourself. The one tournament where it's quite cheap to go is the Olympiad because the accommodation is included in that. But if you play for other countries to go to places like the Europeans, I think I'm right in saying maybe all of them, but not necessarily the case, is that the actual federation will actually pay the money for their players to go. So it makes it at least free for them. And actually some of the players there will actually be getting paid. Of course, naturally, though, they are kind of usually grandmasters and international masters and things as well. So they are stronger players than us in general. But it means that they can go and we can't, and we don't get stronger because we can't go to these tournaments. So if I have a think like 20 years ago, if we'd have been going to that every year in between the Olympiads, just how much stronger we would be as chess players right now. And obviously there'd be a big thing. So unfortunately, there's not any funding for us to go, and that's not a fault. We're not criticising the Welsh Chess Union there, by the way. That's not a case. They haven't got the money to spend on it, so fair play. We wouldn't expect that from them. But there is some government funding coming in, guys, which has obviously made big headlines recently. So I'll load it up. I'm pretty sure I've got it up here. And this is the latest news that Rishi Sunak's government has got a £1 million package to support chess across England, especially for young players as well, and also to help the national squad. It's come from the Culture Secretary, Lucy Fraser, rather than education or sport as well, which is quite an interesting point. I don't know.
It announced as $500,000 before.
It was, but over.
Up?
No, it's not been bumped up. It's just been they've taken it over 2 years.
Right.
So it's 500k 1 year and then 500k the next year.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't know which one of you two wants to jump in first on this. To be honest, what are your thoughts and comments on this controversial topic?
I rather than actually the chess thing, I wonder, what it's doing politically for Rishi. Like, what's he getting out of it? It's an interesting one. Like, what's he getting out of it? It's a cheap headline, maybe. I don't know. Like 1 million is nothing for them, is it? Really? So it's like a nice cheap headline.
Yeah, I think one of the things that they were trying to do, because they had that England versus Ukraine solidarity match as well. So I think one thing that they might be trying to do is trying to make us kind of a bit more chessy, so that we're a bit more marketable to other countries, where we've got a bit more in common with them, shall we say, if we're heavily into chess. So that might be something on the world spectrum. But yeah, I mean, this headline, though, has always been there for every single PM for the past 20, 30, 40 years, when they haven't given us any funding. And you're right, actually, 500 grand is over, or £1 million for them is not very much money. For us, it's a massive amount of money just for chess, and obviously fantastic kudos to Malcolm Payne for getting it in there. But I don't know, what are your thoughts on it, Alex? Do you think it's going to transform English chess?
No, not at all. I think it's good they've secured it. I think it's good that they're willing to part with money for chess. But I think you have to be super smart with how you invest it, and just reading the plan for what they've set out. They haven't detailed how they'll spend all the money, but I don't see anything there that's really going to help English chess. I mean, investing it in the national team, just paying them more money to go to the Olympiad? That's a waste for starters, to benefit 5 players who already get paid to go.
Yeah.
I would say that should be maybe very low priority, and putting chessboards in parks. It's nice to have, but I don't think that's not going to help English chess in any way, shape, or form. So I just think you have to be really smart with how you invest it, and I just don't think that will be the case.
I'm a bit skeptical about because it does mention in there, there's kind of 2 parts to it, isn't there? There's the one where it's helping chess sets in parks, trying to get general public playing chess. Then it goes on to say about schools that are in deprived areas can get £2,000 grant and apply for that. And that's going to be part of it. And it does say about the national team on another part, but it doesn't specifically say that it's going to go to paying for the players. So I was wondering, perhaps, like how some of the other top grandmasters have moved to America, whether it's the case that they're going to invest in a top quality computer for them, perhaps to do their opening analysis and work. I can't find exactly where it says about that, but that was what I thought that they might spend the money on to help the national team, rather than paying the top 5 even more. Don't know. Does that make sense? Or
it does. I mean, quite possibly. I feel it's kind of the same, right? That you're investing it on such a small pool of players.
I can't see how they would share a computer. How are you going to share a computer, as well?
Well, you can log in remotely to a server, so the server's based somewhere. You only allow certain people to log into it. I mean, I think obviously it's anything that's to invest in money into chess is always going to be a positive thing. Whether it's going to actually help English chess depends. I think if you get more people just randomly playing chess, I think you'll get more people filtering into the system. And it does say here as well, because it does impact Welsh chess as well. What's the bit where it says about Welsh chess? Alex, did you find that before?
I did. It was in the notes to editor section.
Oh, here it is.
Outdoor chessboards in Wales and Scotland, where the weather is great.
Yeah, so I guess we are technically included in that part, but of course it's a case of does this mean then that part of that money for the national team goes towards just England, or do you think some will go towards Wales, or do we think that we're going to have to try and get the Welsh Assembly to try and give us some money along the same kind of lines?
Well, from reading the word of that, I'd say we get nothing from what the ECF get. This sounds like it's almost a separate exercise. Like the DLUHC is committed to working with the devolved governments. It doesn't say will give the devolved, like, there's no.
Yeah, when they say committed to working with, it's like wink.
Like,
yeah, I mean, I've had some comments come back, and nothing official come back from the Welsh Chess Union just yet. But I know that I've been, heard people talk about the Barnett formula, where if England are getting so much money, then Wales get a percentage of that, Scotland get a percentage of that as well. I would say as well that I won't share it on the screen, but the Scottish Chess Union are being a bit more aggressive with their chase of said money, and they got a little bit salty because, well, they what they did was, did you see the tweet that Scotland sent out? Did you see the tweet that Scotland sent out, Alex? Did I show it to you? So okay, well, we'll come on. It's the last thing on the topics today. But basically, Scotland won the Glory Cup.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So they tweeted out saying, "Just won the first time that Scotland have won the Glory Cup for so many years. So what do England do? Go and get £1 million worth of funding to try and help their teams." Which I thought was quite clever, actually. I'm quite impressed by that tweet. Salty, but definitely impressive. But yeah, I think that the jury's out here a little bit on whether we'll actually get any money, as in Wales, or not. And it would be a crying shame if we weren't able to either tap into some of this funding that has come through, or get the Welsh Assembly to support Welsh chess, because I think you're only talking something like 20-30 grand a year from the Welsh Assembly that you're talking about. So for that, it's really a drop in the ocean for what they spend. But obviously, you can compare to this, a drop in the ocean compared to the overall spend. But I don't know. Do you think we're going to have any luck, guys?
No. I'm wondering what they're going to do with it, though. I'd love to know. I'd love to, sit here in a year's time, 2 years, 3 years' time, and see what they did with it.
Okay. So what, the ECF?
Yeah, or wherever it goes, wherever. It'd be interesting to know if we sit here in 3 years' time and go, "Oh yeah, they did that," and then that was good, or is everything exactly the same except for,
there's some chessboards in parks.
Yeah, they're probably not there by 3 years' time, are they?
Well, they might get some
in a posh
moss
park,
or something. I don't know. What do you think, Alex? Do you think it's going to be a good thing and supportive, or? I can just see him smiling. He's frozen. There he is.
We're talking about Wales or England. I froze then.
So yeah, well, for both, do you think either A, it's going to be really good for England? Do you think there's going to be a massive change that we're going to see? And B, do you think Wales are going to see any money somewhere?
So firstly, I think there will be people in England who benefit from it. Some good will come of it. I'm reluctant to say that. Yeah, I think you get a lot of people get carried away and saying this will change. This will make England a force in world chess. It won't do any of that, but it'll be a step forward. And I'm sure some people will really benefit from it. In Wales, I don't see it. I think I don't have any faith in the Welsh government, so I'd be surprised. But you never know whether it might be England did that. And I guess the whole problem is that obviously we have a Labour government, and they're not going to follow a plan that a Conservative government did. So, if Rishi Sunak gave money, he's a Tory. So why would Drakeford do what a Tories have done?
I guess so. But I guess
it's all just politics, right? He doesn't, whether or not he thinks it's good to invest in chess, he won't do it because it was busy.
But Rachel Reeves is a Labour politician on the other side, and I haven't seen it, to be honest, but I thought she'd come out and say they'd more than match it, maybe even give even more money to the chess, seeing as she was some sort of former British champion in some way, or something like that. So,
but I'm sure she would if it was their idea. But a Labour won't want to be seen. Oh well, look, the Tories introduced this policy, so we're now going to implement it in Wales.
Yeah, so as he's frozen, I think we got his point there. But yeah, okay, right. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's wait and see. Obviously, we're looking for more details. Hopefully, we'll get some clarity on what actually is Wales included in any of this, or not. And if not, then Will the Welsh Assembly do anything for us? But let's move on. So, okay, Alex, I'll stop sharing my screen and we'll have a look at the Title Tuesday update and a 4NCL update and see what's been going on, because we carried the triple threat forward, didn't we, this week in Title Tuesday? Alex,
we did carry the triple threat. I mean, I think actually it was my worst ever Title Tuesday.
I think it was a singular threat. That was John, and then me and Alex were just like, I don't know what we were doing. But
we were there in the chat between games. Yeah, we appeared.
No, don't say we were there in the chat. We get banned.
Well, I think it's quite obvious we weren't cheating when you look at how we did. Between us, we did about as well as Nakamura did by himself. So
that's a good point. Did we get as many points as? Yeah, we did.
We beat him. But that should always be our minimum objective. But yeah, so I always start well Title Tuesdays. On 2 out of 4 at the first mini break, and then I lost 5 in a row. And so I got 3 out of 11, which is by far my worst. But I actually did play one good game before the rot started. So you can see my screen. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. So I was playing. I don't know how you say this. Machteld Van Forest, who's the younger sister of Jordan Van Forest. And her FIDE rating is 2291, but she's beaten something like 2350, and she's only 16 years old, so potentially one for the future. So I might need to save this game just in case she does go place in the future. So
she's got some good coaches, doesn't she? So
yeah, because they've got a huge family. There's like 6 of them, the kids. So yeah, we'll see. But the game starts and it's a blitz game, so it has to be a London system, especially when I've watched videos on the London pawn structure. I mean, what's not to like? I mean, it's pretty mainline. She knows her theory. But see, it's like I'm still on 3 minutes. It's such a great blitz weapon. I mean,
exciting stuff.
It is, right? B6, E4. This is all normal. And then here, so the main line is to go like Bishop E7, E5, Knight H5, Knight G5, and there's like this nonsense.
All right.
And this is supposed to be equal or a little bit better for black, but the problem is black basically like ends up winning the D4 pawn, and white just goes a bit hacky on the king side. So so really maybe I didn't fancy this in blitz.
That's really interesting though at that point, because I don't think even people are playing in like major sections and lower. I don't think anybody would probably know that Bishop D6 to E7 is the best move here. I guarantee.
I didn't consider that either, and the line I play against the London's very similar to this. I like to take on G3 though.
Yeah, I think you have to delay taking on G3 though, right? Wait for me to castle. So
not always. Sometimes I do without. It looks a bit risky, but it isn't.
I was going to say, in blitz though, you're asking for trouble, right? You're going to get serious.
I get quite a high score against a London system played like this, actually. It's the one where they stick the knight in on E5 I hate. It's brutal sometimes. Oh,
and then they just go F4, right? It's like
it's just horrible. It's horrible to play against that in blitz.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
This one's fine.
Well, maybe we'll meet in Title Tuesday one time, Johan, and you can show me.
Yeah.
How fine you are. Machteld took on E4, which I think is supposed to be a bit dubious. So knight takes, bishop takes, bishop B7. So any London system player should still know they're in. So D takes C5, bishop takes C5, queen A4. Good move here.
4 seconds.
Wow, yeah. And she's played pretty rapidly as well. So this is still a known position to me. And what I'm hoping for here is queen E8. Because bishop H7 check just wins on the spot.
Oh, nice.
But after king H7, you have to be careful. You can't go knight G5 here because of king G6, but you have to throw in queen H4 check first. You got to know your London theory, lads.
Wow, it was worth tuning in just for this little masterclass.
I love it how the queen on E8 actually blocks the rook on F8 from moving away as well. It's even nicer.
Yeah, so that's the way it works after queen E8. So I think the only time I had this over the board, I played Nigel Ralphs, and he went d5 here, which is kind of weird, but actually he did okay. I think he held a draw quite easily. But Michael went rook c8, which is kind of sensible. Rook d1, still hoping for queen e8. She's got a second chance to blunder. And she went queen f6, which I was like, I don't know. That feels a bit weird. And who just gasped?
Yeah, isn't the queen trapped?
So yeah, this is what at this point, I think I started to forget it was a blitz game. I've used 8 seconds at this point. I'll just watch how my time has disappeared. Bishop h4, queen h6, bishop g5, queen h5, g4.
The eval bar suggests it's not trapped, but it does look quite trapped, doesn't it?
Yeah, and obviously you can't take on g4 here because of bishop h7 check wins the queen. Queen h3, knight g1. I was sat here like, I'm such a boss. This is unreal. Look how good I am at chess. And here she just took on g4. She didn't know what to do. So afterwards,
how'd you get out of it then?
b5. Surely he's been asking for b5 for ages.
b5 from John, yeah. Delayed Nigel Ralphs, and here I have nothing better than taking on h3 takes on a4, and I guess my pawn structure's kind of okay to make up for being a pawn down, but I'm not a pawn down. Yeah, I will.
You're not a pawn down.
No, I won't be. I don't know why it thinks black's marginally better then. That's nonsense, right? No way am I worse in this position.
Yeah, black's doing well here.
Yeah, I guess I haven't got my pawn structure, have I? That's the problem.
They're uncoordinated, aren't they?
I bet you haven't studied this pawn structure.
The next video on the list, Johan.
No, you should be creating the video on this pawn structure.
Because you're the only one that's ever played it.
Yeah, so this would have been kind of depressing to get.
So what, she just gave away a queen, did she?
Went queen g4. Well, so this is the thing. I went h7, king h7, queen g4, and I was like, well, she's going to resign. I thought she was going to resign. She went knight e5. I just started dawdling. I went queen h5, check king d8, hit f3, and it's like,
bishop takes g1.
Well, it's asking to be mated, isn't it? No.
But it's f3.
No, bishop takes g1.
Oh, on the g file, you mean?
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, she just wants to win some material back. But then f6, I didn't get why she didn't take on f3. f6, bishop h6, knight takes f3, 2, f7, and I was just wanting to get the game done. But so queen f7, and yeah, it's pretty much.
Okay.
She made me play until mate, but yeah, just want to simplify in these positions, right? Because now I can just play moves quickly if I need to. I think my time still disappeared. At some point, I just started thinking. I mean, I won't show you how I checkmate.
Did you add her as a friend, though? That's the question.
I did not add the 16-year-old girl as a friend.
That's a good thing. Don't do that.
I've just noticed the little thing on the screen. That's all.
The little thing on the screen.
It just says add something as a friend.
Oh
yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But so yeah, that's how you win at blitz, guys. You play the London system, and yeah, I thought it was quite nice after Queen F6 though. That I missed the B5, but originally you get that kind of alarm bell that goes off in your head that says, "Wow, this queen could run out of squares pretty quickly." So it transpired.
Well, it just goes to show, doesn't it, just how much knowledge you have of your opening as well, which is coming through. And you won that purely based on good opening knowledge. But is that like one of the first lines that you learn in the London or something, or?
I think it's super common.
It's like the only line you need to learn, really, isn't it? But I think this is the point. So this is why people say it's easy to play the black side, is you have to learn the bishop d3 line, the bishop b5 line, and you just need to learn one long line in each, and you're completely fine. So I think that's why it's not really a good weapon for white to play in classical chess. So it's a bit of a waste to know it, but it means they don't have to think in blitz. So that's important, right? Title Tuesday. I'd have got 2 out of 11 without the London system.
So have I got 6 points 2 weeks in a row then?
Impressive stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I got 4 out of 5 in the last 5 games, so I got kind of a little bit lucky in that respect. I kind of came from behind. Are we keeping track of these scores, Alex?
Not. It's not. They're not written down, but they're published, right? So we can always go back and get them at any point.
Okay.
Maybe we need a spreadsheet.
I think we need a spreadsheet, and I think we also need to probably add on the other Welsh title players as well if they play. So Greg and Dan perhaps.
We'd have to find them every week and stuff then, though, wouldn't we?
I see
Sounds like a
Daniel.
job for Alex.
I'm Daniel's friend on there, so you can easily see how he does. But I don't think I'm Greg's friend.
Yeah, because he started really well, didn't he? Did you say that he beat some GM at the start in the first few rounds?
Yeah, he beat that. I kind of his name like Sijan Sikuradorov. He's like 2600, so I think he's a pretty good blitz player.
Yeah.
So
he's like 3,000 on chess.com or something, isn't he?
Yeah. I think he was. I think maybe I saw him. I think I looked him up just after Daniel beat him. He was like 2990 something. So he might not have. That might have been the game to take him below 3,000.
Okay, and Alex, is there what's the update on the 4NCL at the moment?
So they closed the initial entry for 4NCL. So they were basically saying they were going to have to limit entries to 80 teams, and I think they had something like 64 teams entered before the deadline. So now they've extended it, basically like begging people to enter. Which is kind of funny. They were like, "Oh, we're going to have to turn all these teams down." They said last season you're going to have to qualify to play next year, and yeah, a lot of teams haven't re-entered. Notably, Gonzaga, I think, are the busy re-entering, so none of the Irish lot will be coming over.
Sorry, Alex.
So yeah, there's no.
Just broke up then. Who've not re-entered?
Oh, Gonzaga are the biggest name who haven't re-entered. Obviously, they were Division 1 with us last season. So yeah,
did they get relegated?
They did, yes, yeah. So possibly that's why. Maybe they didn't think Division 2 was worth their time and effort. Yeah, so there's still a lot of uncertainty on what team's going to fall in what divisions next season. But I feel like it's coming together anyway.
Cool. So 4NCL, it's quite interesting there where you say they're saying, oh, you have to qualify to get in, and they try and make it sound like it's something to be prized to get into. And then all of a sudden they haven't got enough teams to get into it. So then they're like, please enter, please come and enter our tournament. It's, it just makes me laugh that that's the situation where they try and make it sound exclusive, and then the next minute they haven't got enough teams.
It is kind of weird because they obviously have quite high entry fees, and they're I think put them up as well to try and maybe put off some of the lower teams from entering, so they just get 80 and won't have to turn teams away. I think it just massively backfired.
Yeah. What's the entry fee then?
Depends what division you're in, but we paid 440.
Whoa. Okay.
I mean, it's like, I guess, £6 a game, which works out the same as a weekend congress. Which, when Mike says it in that email, I kind of get it.
Yeah.
It's kind of makes sense from that point of view, but yeah, it's still, I think, higher than it needs to be.
Okay, right. Well, I'd tell you one thing that you also did bring up, Alex, is obviously the Northumbria Masters have just started, and good old Tim Cat has definitely entered. So you said the live games weren't working.
Any tournament Tim's not playing in, like, wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, he's getting around, which is good to see.
Wow.
But you're quite interested in discussing these kind of open and closed events at the top, Alex.
Yeah, so I think it's very rare you get them in England, but I've seen them sometimes abroad. And they have the top section in Northumbria. Well, not the top section because there's a GM normal tournament, but say the Masters Swiss, and it's 2,000 plus. So anyone can enter as long as your rating's over 2,000. And it's just thinking about sort of like whether we're in favor of that kind of policy. Like, would you rather play an event that is 2,000 plus, or a huge open Swiss where you get 1,000 all the way up to 2,500 in the same tournament? So I think there are definitely pros to both, but yeah, just because they've never had such a tournament in Wales, it'll be interesting to get your opinions on it.
I think the problem in having a tournament like that in Wales is there's just not enough players to fill it, isn't it? You know, you need to fill the tournament. While if it's sort of centrally located in England somewhere, or you're going to get enough players to fill the top section.
Okay, but you only need 6 players, right, to enter it to make it.
Well, yes, I suppose, but you're not going to be. I suppose financially, it's going to be an issue, isn't it? If you've only got 6 players.
No, because you still run a congress as you do, and you have one section which is below 1,500. The next section is 1,500 to 1,800, 1,800 to 2,000, or you break it up everyone, and 2,000 plus, or even 1,900 plus. It doesn't have to be 2,000. But then you're saying, okay, maybe if you win the section below, you qualify to play the one up next year. But then right now in Wales, we have a weekend congress, and like I'm apart from the one you played, Johan, it's like myself as top seed, but I'm not the highest rated player in Wales. So I say, why don't the players above me enter? And is it because they're going to spend 3 rounds playing people below 1,700 and they think it's not worth their time? Like, I don't know, because that's not me. I can't answer on their behalf. But if it was 1,900 plus, would they play? If the answer is no, fine. Like, don't change it. If the answer is yes, let's get them out. Like, let's have those guys playing. Because the problem I have right now in Wales, like, when can I play someone in Wales rated over 2,100? Like, never. Like, when? 16 months ago.
Yeah.
Like, Johan was the last person I played over 2,100. And like, even when for example, in March, there was one of these big Swiss tournaments. And there was myself, Ernest Gibiak from Newport, Tim, and Alan Young, like the top 4 seeds by quite a long way. And in round 1, they all lost to like 1,600 players, or Tim drew maybe. And then that's your chance of getting a good game gone. Like, I didn't see them the rest of the tournament.
Right.
And it's just like, how do you get better if you can't play top players?
Yeah.
And you go into tournaments and it's like you have nothing to gain, right? If you score 5 and a 5, it's like, well, obviously you're supposed to do that. And if you score 4 and 5, you've lost rating, and everyone's like, hey, you didn't win the tournament. So I just would like. I mean, I know everyone below 2,000 will say that's a terrible idea. Like, we hate that. But in my opinion, I think would it tempt out the top players to come and play weekenders?
I would imagine. I would guess not, but I mean, that's the goal really, is to get a strong tournament out, isn't it? Because everybody improves then, and that's what you want. And I just, just hearing you speak about that, then it's just kind of sad to think, like, whenever I used to play in open tournaments when I was, teenager and early 20s, like I was never the top seed ever, like, and it was always Richard, Leighton, like there was just like you wouldn't play someone less than 2050 in the tournament normally, I'd get a 2050 first round, and then all the tournaments were really strong. It was really hard to win an open, and now you're talking about just strolling up and and it's kind of sad really, because like you just said, basically, how do you get better at chess? Like, how are you going to get better when you're not playing? I think the problem is that the sort of generation that was lost has not been replaced, isn't it? So you don't have them to play against, like Richard and Leighton and all of those. So
yeah, that's definitely true. But yeah, maybe there's no solution to it. But yeah, I also, it comes to mind, I did play in Amsterdam last year. It was 1,900 plus. Maybe because it went well. But I just thought it's like really nice. For me, that was like the perfect range of players. But yeah, I think it's an interesting one anyway.
Yeah, I think it's really hard. I mean, I'm thinking back from my last year, how many people have I played that have actually been higher rated than me? So because I drew in the first round of the South Wales International, I think I only really played Jack Rudd, who was higher rated than me, I think. And that was it. So actually, over this past couple of months, and Jacob Boswell was higher rated than me in my tournament, but he'd only just overtaken me from his results recently. So actually, the only people that I've been playing that are higher rated than me, I think, were from the 4NCL from one of the first few weekends. But I guess that's why we need to play in these tournaments such as the European teams, because we want to be playing against 2500s day in, day out, and see how good we can go up against them and really test our stuff. Because that's when you really know whether you know something. It's like you were saying from my tournament, like Johan, you commented, I won every single opening battle that I had. I was just like, I know. And if I wasn't so tired from organising the tournament, I would have cashed in with a plus 50 rating points or something like that, which is crazy. And it was just because it's not because they weren't good at what they do and they're good chess players, but when you can win every single opening battle in the tournament 9 times out of 9, that's really bad.
It's not quite that though, because I did in my tournament as well, and that was pretty strong. Like, you know, I think it's nice to have a mix of players to play against. Actually, I thought that after my tournament, it would have been. It was just brutal every day playing 2400 into pluses. Like it would have been nice to have a 2100, 22. You know, like just a mix. Like because it does, and then it's the same. You don't want to be playing the low. Like, you know, you don't want to. It's nice to have a mix, basically, isn't it?
Yeah. I guess we've got to find those tournaments where those Swiss tournaments maybe where you do get to yo-yo between a GM and a 1900 every so often, and that's what you have to search for and enter those tournaments. But I'm coming down to the one in Newport, Alex. So that's hopefully we can. I mean, I want to play against you as well. I'm looking there thinking I want to play against the other 2100s that are there. So hopefully we do get to be paired with each other eventually. And see who comes away with the rating points, which will be good. And I'm sure we'll have some banter on here, whatever the result is. But yeah, the grading system, Gary makes a good point. Gary's put a point here about the rating system means that you'll play a range of grades. But the problem is if you're the top seed in the tournament and you're looking to improve, you can only be paired with lower rated players. So you've got everything to lose. I think the only way to do that is maybe to make sure that the prize money is where it should be. So the one thing that annoys me quite a lot is that, you know, you've got an open prize money in some tournaments of, let's say, £300, and then somebody can win a minor section and get £300 for winning that as well. And I get it because they've got more entrants in the minor section. But it just doesn't strike a good chord with me that somebody can play not very good chess. And yeah, maybe good chess for their rating, but it's not encouraging them to improve and go into the next section up where it should be higher prize money. And that actually makes a case for having that one big section where it's all just pulled together. I don't know if that's a good view or not.
Well, it's a nightmare if you're at the top, but it's great for the lower players, I think. And the problem is, like, if you finish on more points than someone in a Swiss, it doesn't necessarily mean you've played better than them. You can get lucky with the draw and stuff. That's the problem, really, isn't it? Yeah, especially with only 5 rounds. If it's 11 rounds, then it's different. But
my other point is that I'm trying to make a living out of chess as well. So I see somebody in the minor section or intermediate get the same amount as me to win an open section, and while they have put a lot of effort into do it, they're not professional players.
It promotes like gaming the system a little bit as well, doesn't it?
It does a little bit.
I do get that. I think the problem is, and it kind of comes in with what we talked about, like increase in participation. If you decrease the prize funds in minors, are all those players going to have the incentive? Or if you merge it into one big section and say, okay, you now can't win a prize, or you can win a small grading prize, are those players still going to be as motivated to go? Like, is a 1400 going to win an open? No. Are they going to win an under 1500 section? Yes. So I think until you get to a point whereby you have too many players, you don't want them playing your tournaments, I think you kind of need to encourage those guys to play.
Somebody needs to do the research, right? Put some questionnaires out, find out why people are playing these tournaments, why they're not playing in them, and change the variables.
Yeah, I mean, I would hypothesize there that, these people that are playing in the lower sections, that you do get the odd few people that are turning up to win the prize money, but I think that they're turning up because they just want to enjoy playing chess, with a little bit of a prize at the end of it. I'm not saying get rid of the prize money completely. I'm just saying it should be significantly reduced compared to the more higher skilled.
But they should be less to enter, right?
Yeah, well, maybe if so, if that needs to be the case, there should be some.
You can't charge them the same and give them lower prizes. Like, why should they fund your prize?
Because it's about how much time and effort you put into it.
No, but they're not in a section with you. They're in a completely different tournament.
They are, but it's also about skill level as well, isn't it? Are you going to have? I mean, you also see about it in, for example, in tennis. You're saying that that Roger Federer and Novak Djokovic, and all these people should have the same prize money as the ones that are in the lower sections.
One thing you're missing there, though, and this gets me in tennis as well, right? Because of the equality in pay thing. So basically, when you're playing competitive sport, you get paid based on how many people are watching you. So the people in the minor are getting paid. They should be getting paid the same as us because nobody's watching either.
So seeing as I'm starting to do stream commentary over some opens, then maybe we should be increasing.
Well, there you
the
go.
payments.
The opens, if they're bringing in the viewers, then they should be getting paid more. Yeah,
that's the big thing. If we can bring in the viewers, then I think that's good. And what I'm suggesting, by the way, is not a complete like say 50 quid prize money or something and £1,000 prize money for the open. And not to be that difference, but just a little, a slight curve, shall we say. Gary raises a good point. If we're titled, do we get free entry to competitions? No, not always. And actually, it's the same for some weekenders. Actually,
all weekenders, isn't it? I've never had it.
But okay, well, I mean, what's going on in the World Cup, Johan? Because that's finished today.
Finished today, and Carlsen won. Did either of you see his interview afterwards?
No.
Nope.
I don't know. I maybe need to rewatch it or whatever, but I get the feeling that we're not going to be seeing so much of him playing classical chess for a long time now, maybe. I think he's been saying a lot for a long time that he's not that into it, but he was talking a lot about changing of the guard, chess is in good hands and stuff like that and so I don't know. I think he's definitely going to be having the rest of the year off after winning it, and I don't know. It's like when you haven't been to the gym for a while, and to get back into it it takes a lot of work. So I think classical chess. I think we might have seen the best of Carlsen already. Maybe, I don't know. It's an interesting one really, because he's been at the top for so long, isn't he?
Yeah. So
I think the problem is like he's still at the top now, and he's clearly kind of like half-assed in it. Like he's still putting some effort in, but he's clearly not putting in anywhere near it. Like he didn't even try against Prague in the classical games. Like he just
But I don't think he's that much. He's not better than these kids now, right? What's better is opening prep, in obscure lines, and that's because he's got teams, right? He's got teams. Every time you play a World Championship match, you have a team of super GMs like going through openings with you and stuff, and doing all. And he's got like decades of that. So how is a 17-year-old ever going to catch up with him in terms of that? So I think, I don't know, like. His games against Vincent Keimer, he wasn't really much better than him, and there was just, he could easily have lost both games. So
because I thought he was going out against Keimer, but obviously got lucky really.
But he is just so good at blitz and rapid. Like he's just so good. Only Nakamura can sort of live with him. So I think. But in classical now, the kids that are coming up, Gukesh, Prague. Abdusaturov, they're going to be at his level classical and maybe overtake him, I think, because the kind of way that chess is being played now is different, and I think they're just really, really active players. It's not so much opening prep, and just sacking stuff. And I think, I don't know. I think they might overtake his level.
Cool. Okay, right. Well, okay. So Magnus Carlsen, probably won't see him again, but obviously he did win the World Cup, and Alexandra Goyakina won the Women's World Cup as well. Did very well, and I think the second place there, I am Nurgul
Salimova.
That's it, Salimova.
She was so close to winning.
Yeah,
so close. Like she had, painful way to lose it as well in the tiebreak. It was really weird that actually finished a few days ago. It feels like a week ago, but it's weird that they didn't time them at the same time.
She's been playing very well recently. I saw a tweet actually, and actually the World Cup wasn't even her best event recently. Apparently she's had 2 other events that she's actually scored a higher TPR in, which is quite amazing. All right, okay, well, we'll wrap up there. The last topic is going to be a quick one, the Glorney Gilbert results, which basically Wales came last in every section. And that's it to report on that. I think there were some good performances from Ethan Challinor. He got 4.5 out of 6. Top scorer, I think. Farouk Nazir and Arish Murthy as well also did quite well, getting quite a few points in the Robinson or Stokes. I can't remember which one's which. But yeah, basically Wales came last in every single section, which is obviously not good, but let's hope that they improve for next time. Any more comments, Alex, Johan?
No, nothing from me.
Thanks very much for watching, everybody. Any questions, you can send them into the Welsh Chess Chat, welshchesschat@gmail.com. But apart from that, we will be doing a new stream covering Title Tuesday on Tuesday evenings, which will be starting at 10 o'clock UK time. So I don't know if Alex and Johan will be joining me for that, but we'll just be, while we're playing Blitz Chess, following the games on here, and I'll be playing on my phone while I have my game on here with no computer analysis, so I can't be accused of cheating. So that'll be on Tuesday evenings as well. So hopefully that'll be a bit of fun, and we can either follow my games, Alex's games, or Johan's games, or all 3 of us to see what's going on and see what howlers we actually produce as well. But apart from that, thanks for watching, everybody. See you on Tuesday. Bye-bye.